Hello, students. This is Sandy. We are going to begin our journey through fundamentals of therapeutic massage. And each month, or for each primary, there will be a video that leads you through how to study and what are the highlights of each chapter in fundamentals of therapeutic massage. And I am going to use chapter 1 of fundamentals to give you that general overview for how the book is written and how to use the book to maximize the study. Okay, this is the electronic version of the textbook. You will have received both the paper version and the electronic version. A couple of nice features with the electronic version here is if you click these three little dots on the top, there is a read aloud feature, and the read aloud feature sets it up so that the textbook will read it to you. You can click the read aloud settings here, and you can speed it up or you can slow it down, and you can change the voice setting and use this to your advantage. There are a lot of ways that the read aloud feature can help you with your study and your retention and your repetition that supports retention and recall. And let's look at the table of contents. So what you might want to do at the very beginning is read what the features are in general of the textbook. I'm going to go over those as we process our first chapter, and it looks as if Gary the cat is going to come visit. I think you see his little ears floating around. There he is. I'm going to try to get him over by the window. All right, so the contents in general here show you how the book is organized. So it's in 4 units. Unit 1 is professional practice, and it has 4 chapters. And then we get into Unit 2, which is where we start to talk specifically about how and why massage works and some of the theory and science behind that. And also we get into indications and contraindications and safe practice. And Gary just wants to hang out with us here. There's Gary. And also the importance of safety and sanitation and hygiene. And then we're going to get into Unit 3, which is when we're actually doing massage. So what are ergonomics? How do we set the room up? There goes a cattail. The actual massage techniques and manipulations, an important chapter on assessment. And then Unit 4, we move beyond the basics here, and we start to expand massage therapy adaptation, how we use different tools, how we work with different clients. So this is the hydrotherapy and aromatherapy and all of that. Here are your different career journey possibilities. This chapter 14, is how we would adapt to a particular population. Chapter 15 is a self-help, wellness, client education chapter. And then unique to this type of a textbook are 20 case studies that have been specifically designed to bring all the information together. Additionally, Appendix A is a huge pathology and indications and contraindications appendix. Appendix B is a quick reference guide to muscle study. And then we have Appendix C, which is related to human trafficking, along with a glossary and an index. Okay, let's go to our first unit, professional practice, over here on the side. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to click this right here, which will close the table of contents. And we're going to, when we get into a new unit, there will be a little bit of an introduction to it. So that's what this is. And it talks about soft skills related to the communication client service part of massage therapy. Throughout the book, there will be, and in the electronic version, there will be links that will take you to expanded information on the web. And here we get into then the actual chapter. So we use the Evolve site here at Health Enrichment Center. The Evolve site is set up as an instructor-led course. During orientation, we will have shown you how to get onto the Evolve site and the resources that are available for you and how it supports the textbook. So here is our general chapter outline and our objectives. So this first chapter, and that's what the chapter outline will do, is gives you a broad overview of what this chapter is going to cover. And when we get into the idea of professionalism and massage, you'll see that we are looking at what is our knowledge structure, how do we make decisions about professional associations, what is massage and defining massage, so that you've got a framework of understanding your professional journey. This will happen for every chapter. The chapter outline in general gives you that big, broad sweep of the content. Then we're going to look at the history of massage here, and then recent and current events and leadership and a massage therapy practice framework. So the way the textbook is set up is that it's divided into subsections, and each subsection acts almost like a mini textbook or a mini chapter within the larger broad content. And it also is set up to support learning study strategies, 15 to 20 minutes of focused study, some sort of a reinforcing activity, taking breaks, and how the book also is scaffolded. And as you get into future chapters, you're going to see that the content keeps wrapping forward and carrying information that you've learned from previous chapters forward as you develop during your learning journey here at the school. Okay, chapter objectives. The overall chapter objectives gives you an idea of what you should be able to do and understand by the time you get done with the study of this chapter. So you should be able to describe what professional touch is and define professionalism and discuss what the history, that the historical influence has been on where you are right now in your studies and how it may influence the future. And also, as you look at, what leadership potential do you have, and what is a professional practice framework? Key terms. These are terms that you are going to want to be able to use accurately and be able to recognize. Uh, One of the things that I will do during this series of lectures is point out specific areas where there is likely to be a focus on the licensing exam, the MBLEX, Massage and Bodywork Licensing Exam content. But in general, key terms are going to show up in the question answer structure on the MBLEX exam. Additionally, you're learning a new language, you're learning new vocabulary, and this is setting the stage for you to be able to communicate professionally as well. So this very first part here is talking to you about learning, an active learning process. And the book is also set up to teach you how to learn and how to study. So education is just as much about asking questions as it is seeking the answers. With the internet and artificial intelligence, if we can formulate a solid, focused question in inquiry, we can usually find the answer through resource material. So in many instances, the ability to formulate the question is as or more important than having a specific answer. And answers aren't always as clear cut as we might think. There can be multiple answers that are correct for a particular question or inquiry. So this section is talking to you about the spiral learning that I mentioned, how the information goes round and round and round. And each time you encounter it, you get closer and closer to comprehension, as opposed to what you might be used to, which is a straight line learning where the information is presented and then you move on and on and on, and it never really comes back to it again. We don't do that here at Health Enrichment Center. So overall, there's a level of self-reflection too on what is it that is intriguing to me about having a career as a massage professional. And then these are questions in general about professional touch. And you want to slow down and have a conversation with yourself or with a study mate. Studying with somebody is very helpful, and using this Zoom platform is a way that you can coordinate study groups with each other. So when you're reading, you want to read not to memorize. You want to read to comprehend. And so that's the importance of the repetition. It's also important that that repetition is novel. If you read this, then you play the book out loud. If you listen to the book being read and follow through with reading, These are all ways to begin to incorporate the information. But there's too much too much information for memorization. If there's something that is important for memorization, I'll highlight it for you. So proficiency exercises will show up across the textbook as well. This particular one is a part of that self-reflection on your own brief touch history, and how that then reflection on how that may influence how I interact through the communication of massage, which is therapeutic touch. How do I do that? Am I going to have biases? And am I going to favor working with a particular population because it's familiar to me? Um, there's nothing right or wrong in any of this, but as a professional, we need to investigate ourselves to see how our own personal world, our past, our history is going to influence our massage therapy career. So then it's your turn. Usually with these activities, I will do an example for you and then ask you to do your interpretation of how you would complete that activity. So professional touch, we're getting into our first overarching chapter objective here. And as this gets divided into segments, into sections, then we'll have a smaller subset of objectives for that section. So the sections, as they are divided, would be a unit of study that would be within that 15 to 20, 30 minutes study realm. So here we start to get into some language and some definitions. So if something is bolded, you are going to want to know what that word means. These boxes throughout the book that are focused on professionalism takes the information and looks at it in terms of how we behave and how we uh, look at our professional interactions, and as well as our personal behaviors and how it influences both our interaction one-on-one with a client, but also how others see us. For example, it talks here about the professionalism of social media. So social media, and we're even going to see more and more of this kind of interaction. So we have to stop and pay attention to what is going to be the extended influence of what we might put out there for others. So if posting to social media, this focus on professionalism says uh, you don't want to create confusion with the people that are going to see that. If you are going to put yourself forward as a massage therapist, then you have to think about how your personal world interacts with your professional world as well. So again, reading through for comprehension. And now we're going to talk more specifically about touch, a little bit about how massage got its name. So what a box does is pull content off to the side just a little bit and expands on it some. Here's your science of touch, and here where you see these references, just want to assure you that if there's a statement or content put forth in the book, that it's not just mine or Luke's opinion, that we've backed it up by looking at how others, how other researchers and how other professionals even will take a look at the content that we're discussing and how it relates. So we got a little talk about the skin here, because that is what we touch. And what is the experience of touch? So one of the things you'll notice with this textbook is that it's conversational. There's a intertwining of a storytelling involved with this. It's deliberate. The storytelling and the repetition uh, is a way of helping your body or your brain retrieve information, um, put it into context in your own experience, recall that and bring it back forward. Stories, your brain um, comprehends a story. It will narrow in and listen to a story. So this is a little story about um, an experience of touch, and you'll see these throughout the textbook. Certainly touch is communication. It's an important communication. And culture, and we've got a very global intermingling culture. It's very exciting. Does influence our perception of touch, uh, professional and therapeutic interactions, language challenges. Uh, Culture is rich, but culture also has its traditions that we need to learn about and respect. We also, because we're a global society, need to learn to communicate through multiple language structures, and technology is really helping that. There are programs through artificial intelligence that can interpret, read through, and take this into the Spanish and read it or translate it into Spanish for you or some other language. And so, you know, this is adds to some complexity of our human interactions, but it also provides opportunities for connection and growth. So through our journey in chapter 1 here, uh, we also are looking at situations that we will encounter as we deal with people. And one of the areas that we will have as an interaction has to do with gender identity and diversity. And we respond to our clients in respectful ways. We don't necessarily always have to agree or disagree with a person's decision about their culture or their use of a certain language or whatever. We just have to respect professional professional behavior is respectful, and there's a level of understanding that is important and necessary. We present ourselves as massage therapists as gender neutral. We still have the ongoing vexing, just sort of kind of awful use of therapeutic massage therapy in organized crime as part of human trafficking and illicit sexual businesses. We still grapple with that. That's something we still deal with. And it doesn't do any good to hide from it. We have to face it and create an environment where people don't question or become confused about what the intention is. Professionalism in general, we are wanting to not promote our gender identity. We want to promote our professional skills and what we have to offer the client. So we want to be as gender neutral as we can in our professional behavior. So things like your uniform and how you present yourself and hairstyles and all of that is part of things that you may find yourself needing to alter in order to uh, put forth this gender neutral idea. Age is an issue as well. The massage therapy community is actually older. The median age is somewhere around 40. And the population that receives massage is older. So a younger person coming into their massage career, touching an elder may be acceptable, it's understood, but two people of the same age might have some misunderstanding about the intention of the touch. We've already talked about how the influences of life events can gauge how comfortable we're going to be in certain situations and how we set our boundaries so that people respect the professionalism of what we are offering and how that interacts with family and all of these nuances that you might not expect as part of being in a therapeutic massage touch profession. There is also touch within a spiritual context. And one of the things as a professional is that the spiritual pathway of an individual, their religion, however they express themselves within a spiritual way, that is not part of the professional interaction with massage therapy. If a person is going to bring their spirituality into a professional interaction, then that needs to be disclosed, as part of your client education, so that a person can choose. A spiritual pathway is very sacred, and that is not the contract that people make with us when they are contracting for massage. Massage therapy works on the body mind area through the body, primarily the body, and not it is respectful of a person's spiritual pathway. It doesn't attempt to influence a person's spiritual pathway. And being comfortable with diversity. One of the things that many states are requiring, Michigan is one of them, for health professions, is implicit bias classes to make us aware of just in how we were raised, how we grew up, the social interactions we've had, embed certain biases and stereotypes that we might not be consciously aware of. And that as we bring that into consciousness, we start to rise above that. So here's another proficiency exercise, and it's just asking you to reflect on the information that was previously described, as well as start to begin a recall process. So this is the next section here is going to become a little bit more focused. There's going to be some language that is involved that you need to learn. So there's physical and psychological perspectives on professional touch and inappropriate touch, and what are the forms of inappropriate touch. And erotic or sexual touch is, I already mentioned that we have that unfortunate, terrible connection with illicit sexual businesses masquerading or hiding around the term massage. And so we have to be prepared to educate right up front from the very beginning that massage is not erotic or sexual touch. There's also invasive touch that can be intentional or unintentional. Well, we bump into somebody in public, when we're in a line or something, that invades their space. We may not have been intentional with that, but it's the same, it still is seen as somebody not respecting the individual boundary we have around ourselves. That's a safety issue. So this has to do with different parts of the body as well. We're going to teach you to massage the anterior ventral front of the body because it's very important to deal with breathing issues and digestive issues and so forth. But that area of the body is also a little bit more sensitive. It can be more ticklish. People can be more, they can be concerned about you seeing a fat distribution on the abdomen or something. And so areas that are explicitly sexual are always draped. They're not seen, they're not touched. But other areas of the body can also be sensitive. And we don't want to have our touch feel intrusive. Here's our appropriate touch. This is our touch that would be appropriate in a social context. This is the touch that is a part of our greeting of the client. It's usually stereotypical, a handshake, although that changed during the pandemic. But a hand on the shoulder, that's what we're talking about here with non-therapeutic forms of touch. And then touch technique, using touch as a method of creating a therapeutic response. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. I had to look this quote up, and it was actually Theodore Roosevelt that said that. But just reflect for a moment on how our knowledge accumulation and how much we know or how much we think we know really isn't as important as the compassion and the caring we display as well. There has to be a professional balance here between these two. The next segment here now is going to talk about professionalism and therapeutic massage specifically. So as you're studying, look to see what the big picture is with the chapter objectives, and then look at the more specific information we're going to cover within each section. When something is bulleted, you have a bulleted list. That's something that you might want to spend more time understanding, not necessarily memorizing, but develop a level of comprehension about it. Could you discuss this? Could you discuss what an orientation towards service is? These are the tenets of what professionalism is. A professional occupation will have these points. And then we're going to go through and discuss these specifically about where massage is in this realm, and we're not quite there, almost, but not quite. And this is going to be the discussion around that. So it's going to also give you an overview of what is the professional practice and where is therapeutic massage provided. So two areas for us are wellness and health promotion and in medical care, and there's a lot of overlap here. Most is in this wellness and health promotion arena, whether you're self-employed or employed, and we're going to have long chapters about that. And this general overview is giving you enough information. It's setting a standard, or it's setting a platform or a foundation of content to build on for the next chapters. So we're talking, this segment here is going to talk about what is occupational vocational education. How does that differ from an academic degree? And massage therapy lives in occupational/vocational education, and that's a wonderful spot for it to be. Typically, it's a diploma-based or certificate-based education that teaches to a specific skill set, and often you're done in less than a year. And because it isn't such a long educational process, it's usually more affordable as well. So looking at these basic classifications again, you can, stop for a moment and reflect, where do you think you might want to work in the future? So you start someplace, you always have to start. So that's entry level. And an entire professional career, not just entry level, but an entire career journey can be wonderfully practiced in the wellness setting. So you're going to want to read through these. And then when we get into this more clinical, medical, rehab setting, this is not as clear cut for massage therapy in terms of definitions and what are the standards of education and what do you need for additional professional development. It's coming. We're learning that. The medical community is trying to find a place in interdisciplinary care where massage therapists become part of the team. But there's confusion around this terminology as well, and that'll be brought forward in this section. We are autonomous healthcare providers. We're licensed primarily as health professions, and it's very unique that we can practice autonomously without having to have some sort of supervisory oversight. And now that wouldn't be that wouldn't be the case if we're practicing in a medical rehab setting, that we would be part of the team. There is a ranking in those areas, with the doctor and or the physical therapist or the chiropractor being on the top, and then other health professions working in specialized areas under that. But we also can have our own business. We can start our own business. And just remember, if you're going to be a business owner, then you've got two jobs if you're going to be self-employed. So sometimes it's a little easier to become acclimated to your massage therapy skill set through an employment position in the beginning. And then you can gather the additional information and skills you need to also be a business owner. But we can do it, and we are so fortunate. There are very few other health professions that can function independently. A profession has an orientation towards service, which we do. There's a commonly accepted code of ethics, and we'll discuss this very specifically in chapter 2, the next chapter. There's legal recognition by licensure. There is verification of advanced training with board certification, which we have. We have professional organizations. And so as we look through this, is massage therapy as it exists right now a profession? Looking at this criteria. And my answer to it is almost. Part of our problem is that we have not specifically as an occupation defined massage. So you can read through this and start to see, I call this the alphabet soup of massage therapy organizations, and all of the varied and different types of massage and body work. And is body work massage, and is massage body work, and what's the difference, and is there a difference, and all of those questions. And then a discussion in this box about all of the different definitions of massage that are out there. And then the definition that Luke and I felt is most accurate and based on evidence is the one put forth in the studies, initial study called Clarifying Definitions for the Massage Profession. And so these are the definitions that the textbook is built on. Then another question is, are we a technician, a practitioner, or a therapist? This is a good question. The general public, we have sort of created the professional identity around the term massage therapist. It may or may not be the best term. There's also practitioner, massage practitioner, and those terms can kind of be used interchangeably. So this is another whole area now. We've got a new section. We've got chapter objectives that are covered. This content that we just went over may show up on the MBLEX exam in ethics and professionalism type category, maybe even a little bit in a business category. This is, it's covering who we are. It looks at professional identity. We really can't understand where we are and where we're going if we don't at least have some idea of where we have been. So that is this history chapter. History, or this history section. History specifically is not tested on the MBLEX exam, but history is important. Try to get a theme that runs through the idea of professional development as you read through this segment on history. And how all the different names for sort of kind of the same thing evolved. And why we would do that. Why do we separate out pieces of massage and give it a name when it is really more of an adaptation of massage therapy? And massage therapy is manual therapy. It's under a big umbrella of manual therapy. Massage is what the National Institutes of Health are researching as a force-based manipulation. By applying a mechanical force to the body, we are triggering a physiological shift National Institutes of Health are studying that. But we've siloed ourselves out and said, oh, no, 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 I do neuromuscular therapy. No, I do structural body work. And my approach to this and the textbook's approach to this is that for the most part, these are adaptations of massage as opposed to something different than massage. So I'm going to skim through more quickly this section of the chapter. In these introductions, I'm making these videos that are giving you guidance on how to study the chapters. I'm making the assumption that you are reading the chapter and that you are processing the information and thinking about it and discussing it with other people. Because that's how you're going to come up with your own contextual understanding of it. So there will be times in these videos that I'm not going to slow down like I did in the first section. I'm going to go through and when I am scrolling like this means that this is chapter content that is important in full context and that you should be able to absorb through your individual study. And these textbooks are just as much teachers to you as any of the teachers that you're going to find at Health Enrichment Center and in your future education. And you want to learn to be your own best teacher. That's one of our goals. So getting more into the current times, here's some more information about the leadership alphabet soup and some of the issues that we have currently influencing the massage therapy community right now. What is the difference between licensure and board certification? They aren't the same thing. Licensure is a legal requirement. Most states are licensed, whereas certification is beyond licensure, beyond entry level. It is a way of validating expertise. So these links, if you click on these, hopefully for the most part, it would, if you wanted to do that in the electronic version, it would take you right out to that link. And we are also looking at licensing portability. There is an initiative called the Interstate Massage Compact. It's a common way for health professions to work across state lines. And we can't ignore the pandemic either, or the importance of us challenging our own biases and being open to diversity and equity and inclusion. There's also a lot of current discussion that has historical foundations in career options. And we looked at that a little bit earlier about we've got health and wellness, and then we've got clinical medical, and I mentioned briefly the idea of professional autonomy. Some questions here about how do we move forward? You know, what's going to happen? Because things change. They always change. Stuff that we thought was true years ago, it's just not. Our research, the technology is more sophisticated. We are moving into evidence-informed practice, and we've got to let go of myths and misinformation. Will we collaborate in multidisciplinary teams? I think that's going to be very important. I think the health and wellness sector, that is our biggest sector for massage therapy practice, is going to become a multidisciplinary environment. where the medical structure is going to take care of acute care, and the wellness area is going to be prevention. And then the biggest health problems these days are chronic lifestyle conditions and an aging population. And there's a lot of external and internal stress. Those things are best managed in a interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary platform, whether it's an actual multidisciplinary work environment or it's autonomous practitioners that network and work together out of their own, each having their own individual location, but there's a referral network and cooperation and consultation. So here's an educated guess on the future. I am excited. I am excited about the future of massage therapy, but it is changing and we have to be open to that change. So here's a little mentoring tip. Mentoring tips, as you see them throughout the book, I wrote these. So I stepped outside of the more academic presentation of the content. And I'm talking to you as somebody who's experienced and been there and done that, and suggestions and observations. So, stop and contemplate as you look at these mentoring tips and see if you agree or disagree. Leadership is an important part of our future. And we have a leadership crisis in the massage therapy community. So maybe in the future, maybe one of you that are reading this textbook, maybe one of you will become the next generation of leaders that steps forth and helps guide and direct the next generation coming through. That would be very exciting. What is a leader? This goes through and talks about what a leader is. This mentoring tip talks about status recognition and professional position. It's a little bit of a professional identity crisis with massage. We have so much to offer and so much to give, but sometimes people, I don't want to be seen as just doing massage, and they'll start putting these fancy names on things. Massage therapy is essential, and you want to be confident in your professional identity around that. And then you have to have some sort of a template, some sort of a way of framing how the massage therapy is practiced and how others see us as well. Others see us through this professional framework. So again, in understanding how the book works, here's the main chapter objectives, and then this is how we are going to clarify that information in this segment. So this has to do with our definition, and I bring forth these definitions again for you. And then Ann Blair Kennedy, one of our massage therapy researchers and others, brought forth this practice framework. And it's a really good way of understanding what your professional practice will look like, what an individual session is going to look like, the understanding of that in context with other health and wellness, professional interaction that you and your clients might have, and a major focus on a client-centered practice. So this also provides a framework for this textbook. So I like this visual here as well. We have to gather information and work towards client goals. We have to discern whether that client needs to be referred or if the goals thereafter are not within our scope of practice. These are things that we as part of our professional discernment. And then these four main categories here are evidence-informed goals that we can confidently say, yes, massage can help with stress management. It can help with pain management. It absolutely can help with well-being and quality of life. And it can also help support optimal function. And a lot of these overlap with each other, with well-being and the general massage approach that supports well-being being the foundation, the important aspect of everything that we do, and then getting more specific with assessments and approaches and interventions, how we adapt and sprinkle in techniques that will also, in addition to, not instead of, support pain management, stress management, and optimal function. To do that, we have to assess. And then, based on those assessments, we will research, look at what others have done, talk to peers, and we'll come up with a massage process that is going to be the very best we can, and it will evolve over time with clients. This goes through and explains this a little bit more. So we're going to get to the end of a chapter, and there's a summary process. There's a little feature called foot in the door, kind of brings the information forward. Here's a graphic that talks about the importance of how we frame our professionalism and how we grow in our professionalism. This, I think, is a wonderful picture. Look how young Luke is here, of how massage therapy is gonna evolve and be so important as we move into our future. Your Evolve site. And then what you're going to find is all of your references. I want you to know that these books are well researched. Every once in a while, my opinion or Luke's opinion will sneak out, but it's usually qualified that way. Everything else is based on solid information that is much more expansive than just my opinion. Although I do love my opinion, but I can't write a textbook based on my opinion. So writing textbooks challenges my opinion quite often, actually. At the end of every chapter, there's going to be this feature called multiple choice questions for discussion and review. The answers with the rationales are available on the Evolve site. These questions are specific to help you chew on the information in the chapter again. These are really good to work with in a study group. You want to start to practice thinking within a multiple choice question platform, because that is what the MBLEX exam is based on. You want to determine what is the question asking. This is actually a definition type question. And you're going to want to know why the right answer is right, but just as important, you're going to want to know why the wrong answers are wrong. So we will spend more time working through this. and the understanding how the questions here in the back of the textbook are have multiple goals. It's to support the language. Here's a definition-based question again, but also to support critical thinking and a broader understanding. There are 20 of these, and the activity here is asking you to write more. So in chapter 1 here, there is some guidance about how to write a multiple choice question. And I believe that the single best way to study content and to prepare to take an exam like the MBLEX exam is to learn to write multiple choice questions. And you can share these back and forth with fellow students and create quizzes for each other, part of your, study groups. It's just a wonderful skill to develop. So this is teaching you, this is giving you guidance on how to write a multiple choice question. All right. So this video, a little longer than some of them will be. Sometimes the chapters are actually longer, but the intent is to give you a synopsis. Also, with this first video is to show you how the textbooks are designed and how they work as your own, as a teacher. The textbooks are just as much a teacher as Luke and I and the other teaching staff that you will experience here at the school. So you'll go to the Evolve site, and there will be a platform there that will give you additional study materials and where you will find your chapter test. So I'm going to stop the recording here for a minute, and I'm going to show you kind of what that looks like with some current students and how their Evolve site is developed, so you can see what that looks like. They are on a different edition. That you're going to see the previous editions of the textbook, but the Evolve site will look exactly the same. Okay, so in the beginning, when on your landing page, the first thing you would see is announcements. And announcements for Fundamentals of Therapeutic Massage. You will be working out of the 8th edition, not the 7th edition. But that is where I put all of your announcements. And when we do Zoom classes, this is where I put the recordings. This is the prep that you'll have for your Zoom classes, which is the 3rd or the 4th and or 5th Thursday. It's when all your homework is done. It's when we go chapter by chapter, follow the syllabus. The prep, here I've got links, multiple links that will be posted for you that will support the textbook. So that's all on your announcements. Then we're going to want to go to, I have to move this up a comes, and you're going to be on student resources. And this is where your calendar will be, your syllabus will be, and your monthly study schedule. So if you want to study ahead, this will be here for you, but I will also post it every month. And then here will be the multiple choice questions. We might call it something else, but this will be where you would find your questions and rationales for those end of chapter questions. And animations, body spectrum coloring book, and so forth. So if we look at chapter 1, for every chapter in the textbook, there is a test. And I'm going to open this one up. This is not the 20 questions that I showed you in the textbook. This is from the test bank, and you will be required to do these, and they will go into your grade book. So it'll come up like this, and you'll just click through it, and just, the intent of these questions is to review the information, show you how information can appear in multiple question styles, like little scenarios, or how you comprehend the relationships of terms and concepts. Just like I mentioned before, you need to know why why the right answer is right, why all the wrong answers are wrong. The questions are not exactly like you'll find on the MBLEX. That's not the intent. The intent of these questions are to help you reinforce, recall, reinforce, repeat, and recall the information in the chapter. There are lots of questions at the end of each chapter. So this particular chapter has 65 questions. Now you also have a similar setup for your essential science study. And with your essential science study, when you look through those videos that I have been done for you, you will find that you'll have an extensive chapter test like this, but there's also the accompanying orange online course that goes with it. So when you do these chapter tests, it will grade, and then it'll submit to my grade book. You can do these open book. You can do them multiple times. So let me show you what my grade book looks like. So you'll have your name over here on the side, and then when you complete a test, it will go up in through here, and you need to get 90% on them. You can take them multiple times. You can do them together. You can complete this as a small study group. The intent is for you to learn, and as many different ways as possible to chew on that information is going to help you do that. So that is what that's going to look like. So if we look at chapter 2 here, again, right up here at the top is where that chapter test is. This is what's required. Everything else that you will find listed here is study support. Good stuff, really helpful, but not for the grade book. This is what's required for the grade book. So let me open this one up again. This is chapter 2. And you can also view the answer key here. So it'll load here in a minute. Here we go. Now, certainly you could do this. You could do it this way, but this is a really good way to come in and check yourself too. Is that what you thought might be the case? All right, so a little bit different assessment process at the end of each chapter. But everything we do is set up for you to learn, for you to reinforce, for you to recall. And over time, you'll start to see this information layering. So that is your first chapter of fundamentals, and it is your overview on how each of the rest of the chapters will be presented. Here we go.